shooting, we need gun control. Did a little bit of research. About 45,000 people 2 years ago died because of car accidents, 47 because of firearms, very close. Have you ever heard anyone say we need car control? Isn't that an interesting question? It's the art of the question. It's the art of the question. The lawyers who make the big bucks in the courtroom know the right question to ask at the right time in the right way, and especially the follow-up. Okay, I never lost a debate in high school and college. That was my strength. I couldn't play football, basketball, baseball. If you put a gun to my head, I would have said, shoot me, let's get it over with, this dog won't hunt. But lose a debate, you got the wrong, I wouldn't know how to lose a debate, I'm sorry. That's my failing, I guess, in life. But what am I getting wrong? So we need gun control, but we don't need car control. And when there's a terrible crash, some idiot plows into a school bus, there's 3 dead children, the teacher lost her left leg. What's the first paragraph of the article? Was the driver drunk? Yes or no? Was the driver driving under the influence of some substance? Show of hands. When was the last time you saw anything about toxicology about a mass shooter? Isn't that an interesting question? They've legalized drugs. When Colorado became the first state to legalize pot, accidents went through the roof. You would have thought this is cautionary. And everyone said, great, let's do it. Sure, now the lawyers have more cases. Why chase an ambulance when they can bring injured people to your doorstep? Now they don't even do that. We just flow the United States with aliens. It's an immigration delivery system. Understand what I'm telling you. Follow the money. Right? Again, am I wrong? You get drunk drivers out from behind the wheel. You get reckless drivers out from behind the wheel. You don't lock up or burn the cars. They want to burn the guns. Why? Because an armed citizenry can resist the insanity, and it keeps getting worse. Tell me I'm crazy. I'm willing to listen. I have all the time if you want to disagree with me. And people don't get it. Oh, they have assault weapons. What's an assault weapon? I've had arguments with people about this stupidity. We're being left defenseless. Some guy on the train with his bare hands subdued a guy that was threatening to kill people. He's going to jail. He's in jail now. How dare you defend yourself? What were you thinking? You violent SOB. You defended innocent other people? Are you crazy? He was supposed to kill them. He was upset. He needed an outlet for his aggression, I guess. And we allow it. And we allow it. Arguments that the Republicans should and could use. Every person in the United States needs an average of 100 gallons of water per day. Reasonable? Bathing, drinking, cooking. If Biden let in 7 million, that means every single day, 700 million gallons of water are being consumed by people who shouldn't be here while we're having a severe drought in the West. How's that for an interesting thought? Is it a reasonable argument? When was the last time you heard someone raise that question? And they want to be green. Right?
They want to save the planet.
Bull. We don't have enough electricity, so of course you're bringing 7 million people who flip on switches, right? Education is a problem. Well, the Congressional Budget Office, the CBO, did a study in 2006 that said it costs 20 to 40% more to educate kids who can't speak, read, or write English. We've brought in how many? So money that should be going to early intervention. I have a secret that's not a secret. My son Josh has autism. He graduated with a full scholarship with honors and is a very successful mechanical engineer because of his teachers. My wife and I worked as hard as we could, but mostly it's a tribute to you, Josh. So instead of worrying about American kids with learning disabilities, we're bringing in an army of foreign students. Look at the legal immigration system and how wonderful it is. How do you think all those Chinese spies and engineers that built their military got educated? They came here. And they were given optional practical training, and they were able to then fire American engineers, American technicians, so they could work here, commit espionage so frequently that our intelligence services has a name for Chinese espionage. You know what they call it? Chinese takeout. Sick humor. There was a hearing in 2018 about how Iran has Hezbollah agents, Hezbollah, you think Middle East, operating throughout Latin America, working with whom? Human traffickers and drug smugglers flooding America with narcotics, which enriches China and Iran and the cartels, and it's also flooding people, including sleeper agents, into the United States. And remember, it only took 19 hijackers to carry out 9/11. 19! We have millions here, we have no idea who the hell they are. Do you think there might be 19 bad guys in the 7 million? Well, and Bush was no damn better. So I was told that every time I testified, George Bush would have a meltdown and scream obscenities. If someone knows a way of getting me a video, I want it desperately. I testified for Sheila Jackson Lee. When Jeff mentioned that case involving the 2 dead terrorists, by the way, I've been before 17 hearings in the House and Senate. And it was Sheila Jackson Lee and Jim Sensenbrenner who invited me to testify at that hearing 6 months after 9/11. Jackson Lee was reasonable and rational, except they've all sold out. In 1998, 2 days short of the 5th anniversary of the bombing of the World Trade Center, Dianne Feinstein, feeble now, not feeble back then, I worked closely with her and her people, testified before the Senate Judiciary Committee about Iran and terrorism and said we should not be giving visas to aliens that come from countries that sponsor terrorism. Nobody protested, nobody fainted, and this was 4 years before 9/11. She said we should not be giving training in physics, chemistry, or biology to people that come from countries that sponsor terrorism because we're educating terrorists in ways of making weapons of mass destruction, and she gave a half dozen examples of just those kinds of terrorists. She was right. And now, if you dare suggest that we get control over our borders, you're the enemy. This is about taking down America. This is not sustainable. I wrote an article for Front Page Magazine. I entitled it, "In order for the Democrats to succeed, the Americans must fail." This is the engineered destruction of the middle class so they can gain control of the government. And the Republicans don't really give a rat's tail because they tend to only stay in Congress a couple of terms so they can make their connections, act as the quintessential lobbyists, and take off with millions and millions of dollars. So I remember being on a show and they said, who are you going to vote for, McCain or Obama? And they told the young lady, wow, what a choice, cancer or a heart attack. And that does seem to be the choice we get these days, doesn't it? Understand what immigration is really about. This is not about xenophobia. There's nothing in the immigration laws that make distinctions about race, religion, or ethnicity. If there were, I couldn't have enforced those laws for 30 seconds, let alone 30 years. It's about protecting public health, public safety, national security, and the jobs and wages of American citizens. How in the world could a politician not argue successfully to get people to vote for him or her if they articulated it that way? Because they don't want you to hear that. By the way, the solution to border security isn't the border. You know what the real solution to effective immigration enforcement is? Interior enforcement. This is the immigration two-step. It's not enough that aliens enter the country by whatever means. Their next requirement is to find a way to embed themselves, hide in plain sight. That's where sanctuary cities come in. Driver's licenses for illegal aliens, are you crazy? How many barriers have been erected in major cities to protect against car bombs and truck bombs? How many times have we seen terror attacks around the world where people were mowed down or cars were used to deliver the explosives? In 1993, Kansi, a Pakistani, shot up the CIA. He bought into a courier van service, jumped out of the van in their parking lot with a machine gun, an AK-47, opened fire, killed 2 CIA officers, wounded 3 others, fled the country. The following month, the bombing at the Trade Center involved 2 illegal aliens. One rented the truck, another one drove the truck. Okay? But we don't hear anything except southern border. Is the southern border a problem? Absolutely. But how many holes do you need to have in the bottom of your boat for it to wind up in the bottom of the lake? 1 hole. We've got dozens of holes, and they are only willing to kind of sort of a little bit plug one out of who knows how many holes. Are they really looking to solve the problem? No. They're happy the Democrats are doing what they're doing, so they can go on TV, pound the podium, and tell you, send me money. I will fight the evil Democrats. Ronald Reagan gave us the first amnesty. Ronald Reagan gave us the visa waiver program. Ronald Reagan gave us the diversity visa that George Herbert Walker Bush signed into law. Everyone talks about the diversity visa, the visa lottery. Thank you, Ronnie. Thank you, George. It's the George and Ronnie show, okay? George W. Bush, when he created DHS, created what I came to call the Department of Homeland Surrender. Why? Immigration was never supposed to be split between Customs and Border Protection and ICE, Interior Enforcement. They were never supposed to add other agencies. And by the way, how many ICE agents do you think we have in this country? About 6,000. And most of the work they do has nothing to do with immigration because of George W. Bush and the way he created DHS. They do money laundering, they do drug investigations, kiddie porn, intellectual property theft. So if we're lucky, maybe we got 2,000 ICE agents for the whole country. New York City at its peak had over 40,000 cops. The entire United States of America after 9/11, after all the lessons we learned, has no interior enforcement and about 2,000 ICE agents. Do you think they're trying to protect us? Are we that stupid? They're playing us for stupid. And the Republicans are no damn better. It's up to we the people to go to town hall meetings and raise these issues. Make it clear that we're not the blithering idiots they expected us to be. I believe it was Abe Lincoln who said you can fool some of the people some of the time and all the people some of the time. But folks, you can't fool all the people all the time. I think we're at that point. Now, you might not like Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I thought she was terrific. She actually attended the high school that a couple of my kids attended after 9/11. I was invited to address the auditorium there. And Ruth Bader Ginsburg, towards the end of her life, said that the mascot of the United States should not be a bald eagle, but a pendulum. If we get stupid enough in one direction, the Americans generally have the good common sense to push it back towards the center. We need to start pushing. If you read my articles at Front Page or go through my congressional testimony, I hope it's a starting point. I do an internet radio program Friday nights, the Michael Cutler Hour, on Blog Talk Radio at 7 p.m. Knowledge is power. We're being lied to. The so-called journalists are all in on it. Only we can stop it. Sit down with your neighbors. Stop the nasty talk. They're not libertards, whatever. But that's not the way you're going to win people up. Sit down and say, what are your dreams for your children and your grandchildren? I've been all over this great country from coast to coast, and I will tell you, we all have the same aspirations and the same concerns. Focus on those concerns, and if you disagree on abortion and you disagree on, great, put it in a box, wrap it with very pretty paper, put a big red bow on it, put it in the back of your closet. We can have that debate after we secure the future of America, because without a secure America, those other arguments mean bupkis. If you have questions, I'll take them.